All right. So, Tyler, the other day I was in my front yard. I have these flower beds. Well, they're not really flower beds, they're rock beds. There's bushes, but there's no flowers. And I don't want the weeds either. So I laid down the weed barrier, put the rocks on top, But
Yeah.
the weeds still get through. And so every once in a while I have to go pull the weeds out, which is, annoying, but it's got to get done so that the house looks nice. But it occurred to me, I have often thought that once you reach adulthood, a lot of life is sort of just gardening, like keeping keeping the things going. It's maintenance.
Yeah.
And normally I think of that in terms of do a little bit every day, just keep the things up, keep them going.
Consistency. Yeah.
Consistency. There you go. But the weeds in my front yard are kind of different. If I just let them grow for a month and then I clear them all out at once, it's actually easier to pull them up because they have grown larger. They're easier to get the
Interesting.
roots out. And so I don't know how to feel about this because it's kind of the opposite of my normal philosophy of gardening, of just do a little bit at a time and take care of things as they come up. Where the front yard, I'm very happy to just let it go for a month because it'll be easier to just pull the tall weeds.
Well, life is all about trade-offs, and that seems like a reasonable trade-off, right? You're batching the task of weeding to once a month, which
That's
sounds
true.
really efficient, but the trade-off is you have weeds for a few weeks, I guess, that people could
Hmm.
see and judge you by your yard, I guess. But
Right. My next door neighbor has a pristine lawn. He takes really good care of
Ugh.
it, and my lawn is not pristine. So I feel a little bad about that. But what do you do?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Gardening. Hello there, dear listener. I am Steve.
And I'm Tyler, and this is It's Not About the Money, where we discuss a wide range of topics related to creating and running small businesses.
The two of us are small business owners ourselves, just trying to make sense of the world one podcast at a time. Today, we have a possibly recurring feature on the podcast. We're going to do a book club. And
That's
the
right.
book is called The Prosperous Coach: Increase Income and Impact for You and Your Clients. It's written by Steve Chandler and Rich Litvin. And the eagle eared listener, is that a thing? Eagle eared. The folks who have been paying attention will notice that Tyler has mentioned this book many times.
Yeah, I was going to say, I
So it's
wonder
high
which one
time to
of
talk about it.
us recommended this book.
Hmm.
It was me.
Absolutely. And I thought it was a great book.
Yeah, one of the reasons I suggested this for our book club episode is because as I was reading it, I couldn't help thinking about your business, actually. And we've talked about some of this a little bit here and there in previous episodes. So I'm really curious to get your reaction to the book and whether you feel like, well, whether you agree with my thoughts about that, like how much does it apply to you at all? Do certain parts of it apply and others not, etc. So I'm curious
Okay,
to see
well,
what
it's
you
funny
think.
you say
Yeah.
that because when I started reading it, I listened to the audiobook actually, but started, I thought, should I be a coach? Like, is that what I should be doing with my life?
Wait, what
Uh,
made you think that? Just because it sounds so
I can't remember now exactly, but just the it's a compelling vision of a business owner who serves his clients very well and
Mm,
can meet their needs and help improve their lives. Somebody who's making a difference in the world.
yeah.
That was a compelling vision as I'm starting to read this book. So I think it was something like that.
Well, I like that, and and maybe that's why I couldn't help but think of your business and potentially other businesses because there are elements of what they teach about how to be a coach in this book that could be talked about in terms of just providing excellent service, regardless of what you do, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the reason someone like me would be interested in a book like this is because I own a coaching business and I want to know how to succeed and grow and be a prosperous coach. And so a lot of the book focuses on things we've talked about in previous episodes, like how to find/create clients and how to grow your business as a coach. and how it's different from other business models potentially. But like I said, I've imagined so much of this is just widely applicable.
Hmm. I agree. The further in I got, the more it became focused on coaching specifically. But I do think I agree with you that there are principles all throughout the book that apply no matter what business you're in. If you're serving customers, trying to help make their lives better, there's something in here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, what are some of the things in this book that stuck out to you as someone who's running a tax preparation business?
Hmm. Yeah, let's go through a few of those. One theme that I noticed is that they said something along the lines of people don't buy hours of coaching. They're they're buying, what they're trying to buy is a life transformation or a path toward achieving a goal, or so they're trying to buy the outcome, I guess is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
And it reminds me of a quote by a business coach for CPAs. Her name is Geraldine Carter, and I follow her work. She's got a lot of great stuff. But she said once, nobody ever bought a pound of engineering. You don't go out to buy engineering. You go out with like you've got water that collects on your driveway when it rains. And the thing that you want to buy is for the water not to be there when it rains. So you want proper drainage or whatever. You don't really care what it takes. You don't care that you have to calculate the flow rate of the water and all of that. Like that doesn't matter to you. You just want the water to be gone and never
Yeah.
to come back. And that's so as the engineer selling those services, you have to position it that way, because that's a much more compelling thing than you can hire me for 5 hours and I can do engineering for you. Like what does that mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, I would say the same thing applies. Like a real obvious coaching example to me would be the realm of personal training, right? Where people are trying to either lose weight or gain muscle or both. Like that's what they want. They want to look good. They want to feel good. They're not, yeah, they're not necessarily paying for the hours. They want the results. How
Right.
how do and I can I mean, I have my own thoughts about this, but how do you see that applying to your business?
Well, Geraldine Carter uses that story to relate to accounting specifically, where clients don't want to buy accounting; they want to buy, whatever goal it is they're trying to achieve in their business. And it's not really, the accounting is sort of just a thing that has to happen in order to achieve the business goals.
Mhm.
So as a tax professional, I can't sell the accounting. That's not a compelling offer, but I can sell what? That's the part I'm trying to figure out still, I suppose.
Yeah, well,
now
that's
that I
fair.
now that you ask.
Well, we've talked about peace of mind, convenience,
Oh,
right?
yes, that's right. That's true. So yeah, the peace of mind, the sort of being a trusted advisor who can guide you along these th- things, help you make the decisions that you're not quite sure about because you don't know the territory of taxes or whatever, bookkeeping.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the thing that people want. Another thing that I thought of while we were reading that, we've mentioned this other book, $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. He said something similar, that people are looking to buy in order to reduce risk. And that's risk to their time or to their money or to the likelihood of success. And so if you can craft an offer that uh, conveys that they will save time or they will save money by paying you or they will increase their likelihood of success by hiring you, that's a compelling offer.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of the value proposition of coaches specifically, I think, is often people are coming regardless of what you're seeking coaching for, could be personal finance, could be physical fitness, could be all kinds of things. There's all kinds of like life coaches out there. You've tried to succeed many times and you haven't achieve the results that you want on your own. And so now you're open to help from someone else, right? And so the perception of increasing the likelihood of success, I think, is a big selling point. I will be more successful if I have someone helping me. I just did this, by the way. I just hired a coach to help me with my physical fitness, or I should say, my lack of physical fitness. For this
Okay.
exact reason, right? I mean, I've got my exercise bike, I've got my weights, I've had periods of semi consistency in my own working out over the years, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hire someone to help me. And we just started this week actually. It's great. I'm excited
Oh, cool.
because I
That's
think I'm
exciting.
more likely to succeed if I have someone coaching me.
Hmm. Well, and I think Rich and Steve would be pleased with you because they do make a point somewhere in the book of if you're a coach, you ought to have a coach as well,
Hmm.
if only for the fact that that conveys that you believe in coaching that enough that you'll hire coaches to help you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I tell a little story right here? I guess
Yeah.
the timing on this is very interesting because I haven't hired a coach prior to now. This is my first time.
Hmm.
And I know that they said that in the book, and I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I believe in it as much as, I don't know if I'm ready to put my money where my mouth is. But just last week, I had one of my clients tell me that they feel that the money that they spent for my services was the best money they ever spent. I know it's
Oh,
probably
wow.
hyperbole. I almost wept with joy. It was great. And
Wow.
I was like, wow. So for me, I was like, wow, this works. This is having a huge impact. I'm making a difference. And that is actually what put me over the edge to hire my own coach. Cause I'm like, well, if I can do this for someone, why couldn't someone do it for me? So yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of all aboard the hype train, I guess, but
Oh,
it's exciting.
that is exciting. Another thing that I liked is they used the term enrollment conversation instead of like a discovery call or an intake call, or I just thought that was kind of a nice term, enrollment conversation.
Mm. Yeah, I wonder. When I first heard this idea, I was like, okay, is this just semantics? I mean, it's really just a sales call, right? but but
Hmm.
I think one of the major points of this book is that no, it is substantially different from a sales call. I mentioned this in a previous episode, but they in the book there's a Venn diagram, and there's two circles of the Venn diagram, and one circle is coaching, and the other circle is selling coaching. And
Hmm.
I think their argument is that the more those two circles overlap, the happier you're going to be as a coach and the more successful you're going to be. Because many coaches love the coaching part of that Venn diagram, but are either uncomfortable with or actually actively dislike the selling part of the Venn diagram. And so it's like you could be the greatest coach in the world, but if you can't sell that, then no one's going to know because they're not experiencing that.
Right. Part of the way that I think they're saying you get to that is their idea of no sale was ever made outside of a conversation. Like
Mhm.
you don't sell coaching by selling the idea of it. You sell coaching by having clients experience it.
Well, I'm curious if you think that Venn diagram or the principle that the book talks about by way of that Venn diagram, does that apply to your business model or is it more coaching specific as opposed to tax professional? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good question that I have been wondering as well, because the thing that I can do for clients is give them advice and do technical work on their accounting, which is slightly different from coaching, but there's also a lot of overlap. Like it's a lot of teaching them how to use a system, how to implement something, how to plan or structure their business so that it's more tax efficient, disabusing them of crazy tax ideas that they got from TikTok, whatever it might be.
That's what you do.
There's all of that kind of guidance and coaching aside from just the technical work that I do, which is more behind the scenes. And so I do wonder if I can bring more of that into the sales aspect of it, where I'm helping them right from the start and they're seeing, they can see kind of the value that I can bring beyond. Like, yes, I have the credentials. I can do the technical work for you, but also I can be your trusted advisor on this journey of running your business.
So that's interesting. So maybe when you were describing that, and I don't know exactly what you currently do in your sales calls, or your consultations. So maybe you already do this. I don't know. But it seems like you could do a lot by way of asking them questions and trying to understand their goals. I'm sure you do this to some degree, but
Yes.
and just like get really deep with them and help them experience what it would be like to work with you from that perspective, right? Like how involved you're going to be, how much you're going to care about the details of their situation.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's one take on it. I guess you could try.
Yeah. I like that idea. They mentioned somewhere in the book, I don't know if I wrote it down, but asking about, oh, here it is. Understand the goal behind the goal. Ask about your client's clients. So, like, try and figure out who are they trying to serve and what do those
Yeah.
folks need? And then you can kind of work backwards from there to help kind of both levels. That's sort of what sounds to me like what you are describing
Hmm.
as part of that, asking those deep questions and trying to figure out what it is that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that like never underestimate the power of active, like strong listening. Right? I
Oh,
think
yeah, for sure.
what it doesn't matter what you're trying to do in your life. If you can give someone your full attention, your full undivided attention and try to understand them, they're going to love you. I mean, they're going to start to trust you. I mean, that's such a rare thing in our world. I think that that would apply to any business. I think, yeah, understanding their clients needs, that's like another level, right? The more levels you can peel back, the more what's the word? Not thorough, but like yeah, I guess so. I mean, I hesitate to use the word intimate, but like honestly, there's like a degree of that, like becoming more familiar with their situation and building
Right.
trust there.
And where they can feel like, yes, this person cares about me, but also they care about the thing that I care about. The good that
Yeah,
I want to do in the
yeah,
world, they're also invested in that.
hmm yeah. That's cool, and that's one of the things I love about being in these service type businesses is that's kind of like it's a great business for people who are genuinely interested in helping other people succeed.
Hmm.
And if you're into that, like it's just such a nice alignment of what your values are and what you're trying to provide. So that's cool.
Okay, so here's one that struck me a little bit that I don't do very well yet. They said something about don't be afraid to talk about your accomplishments
Hmm.
because clients want that. Like if you're too self-effacing, then how do they know that they can trust you? Like you have to be
Hmm.
able to talk about what you can do, who you have helped in the past, those kind of things. Otherwise, who are you? Like they don't know. They have no way of knowing unless you talk
Right.
about it yourself.
And if it doesn't sound like you believe in yourself and you're confident in your ability to deliver, then that's kind of off putting too.
Yeah, that too.
Just out of curiosity, do you collect testimonials from your clients?
I have not yet, but I know that it needs to be done.
Aha. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Alex Hermosi, I know this is not the Alex Hermosi book club. This is the Prosperous Coach book club. But I think, this is actually for not, well, I don't know if it's in that book or not, but I heard him in a sales training say, like, if you ever are feeling down or, struggling with this, like, read your client testimonials, like, read them to yourself. Like, your clients like you, they appreciate what you're doing. You need to remind yourself of that and you need to talk about it.
Hmm.
So that's a good one.
Okay, I hadn't thought of using them that way. So
Yeah. Like,
that's a
as
good
your
advice
little,
because I know I need them for like to have on the website or to be able to show other prospective clients. Because I had even one specifically ask me recently, like, can I talk to one or two of your current clients to hear what it's like to work with you? And I
Mhm.
didn't have anything of that published, so I had to connect them directly, which was fine. It worked out, but it would it would be nice to just have that ready to show to somebody, but also to be able to read myself on occasion.
Yeah, when you're feeling down, when things aren't going well, read those testimonials and pick yourself up a little bit. Something that I've been experimenting with in this realm is instead of just asking clients for testimonials, I created a bit of a more involved form, and I have like, well, we don't need to get into it right now unless you're interested, but it has a few questions about what was the problem that you were experiencing before we worked together, what's changed since we started working together, some more specific questions rather than just a blank slate, like what was, give me a testimonial.
And when do you have them fill this out?
It's custom. So typically toward the end of an engagement, right? Because I do want to get their like complete experience captured, if that makes sense,
Huh?
from start to finish. But typically, they're just kind of I find a moment that where it naturally comes up, like with the client that told me that this was the best money he's ever spent. That was not too long after that comment that I was like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that. Would you mind filling out this feedback form that I have?" And it is a
Okay.
feedback form, so it asks other things like, what could go better. It's not long, but it gives a few different angles to for different types of feedback. And then I ask at the end, like, would you give me permission to use your feedback as a testimonial? And that's nice for a couple reasons because I get positive feedback and constructive feedback, if that makes sense, all in the same form.
Yeah.
And if they give me their consent, I'm able to kind of edit that together into a testimonial of the right length, that I would need to put on my website or whatever. So it's kind of, I don't know. I
Okay. I
found
like
that,
this idea. I may
yeah,
try
if you
that.
want, I can share the form with you later and you
Sure.
can take what you like. But yeah, I mean, if you're having, I know you're having clients and you're having success, so you got to get those testimonials. It's awesome. And then you'll have a database of things to tell potential clients, right? About you, to the point of the book here, about your
And that one,
accomplishments.
I did write down the chapter that was in. That is chapter 44. Don't be a wallflower. Which I tend to be a wallflower, generally speaking. So
Yeah,
it
me
was a
and you
good,
both.
catchy title. Caught my eye. Cool. Well, I wrote that down. That's a good idea. I'll go do that.
Great. I want to share one of the lines from the book that really struck me. It's I won't quote it verbatim because it's part of like a dialogue, but basically the question is posed, what's the secret to being an extraordinary coach? And the answer is have extraordinary clients. And I was like, haha, easier
Uh
said
huh.
than done, like that's, but I will tell you that is the truest thing I think I have come to find out, even from just doing this for half a year or so right now. Getting the right client makes me a better coach.
Hmm. That's fascinating.
And I'm not sure how to like replicate this. you know, I
Okay.
mean, I would say, I'm pretty I have a limited number of hours to do this. And so I am already pretty selective about which clients I work with. And so I really am proud to say that I like all of my clients. They're awesome people. They're the kind of person I want to be working with. And I don't know, I've been pondering this line a lot because I'm like, what does it mean? Like, does having extraordinary clients make me a better coach because there's like synergies in our conversations? And like, I think yes, that's part of it. It's also just so much easier to work with awesome clients. Like it just flows.
It is.
Like
Yeah.
they're ready, they show up ready to work and to learn, and it's just awesome. And therefore the success rates are higher. So anyway, that's just something that stuck out to me. I don't really know what to make of it. It seems like a little circular logic to me. Like it's like, okay, cool. So how do you get those
So, how do
yeah.
you get the extraordinary clients?
Yeah. But regardless, it's it's
Yeah.
it's it's true in my experience.
Uh huh.
And I'm like, is that relatable to you at all? I mean, I don't know. There's probably a wide range of cases that you could choose to work with in a tax preparation business.
Oh, definitely. And the thing that came to mind as you were describing this was niching, and like finding the particular area of taxes that I really enjoy working with, and finding the clients that want help there and are really ready for it. That's where I have the most fun, is when
Mhm.
I'm really working in my genius, and being able to working with really good clients who, we can build something great together in that space.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
awesome.
for me, I've seen glimpses of what that will be like as I'm continuing to get better and narrow in on what exactly it is that I want to focus on in my practice.
So if you can't tell, both Steve and I have really enjoyed this book, The Prosperous Coach, and we found application for outside of the business of coaching. I'd say I'd recommend reading it for sure. If you're listening to this podcast, it's got the kind of stuff in it that you would be interested in and that could help you regardless of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the chapters are very readable. They're most of them are quite short, so you feel like you're making progress all the time as you go through the book. So
That's right.
it's not a difficult book to read either.
It's not a difficult book to read, and I would also say, as far as self-help slash educational books go, it's got really actionable content. So it's, yeah, there's theory, there's ideas, but there are also lists of like, I think it's 18 things. So like, do these 18 things, or learn how to do these 18 things, and do them over and over, and keep getting better at them. And if you do them, you'll find success. So it's a great combination for me of theoretical advice and then practical advice that you can actually apply.
Yeah. I think we can probably end there. There's a whole lot more we could talk about, but that's probably good
Yeah, I
for
agree. I
this
think this
overview.
we'll be back to the Prosperous Coach, I'm sure, at some
Yeah.
point.
Oh,
So,
it will come up again. No doubt.
all right. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, we'll see you all on another episode of It's Not About the Money.